Hello and welcome to another episode of What to Watch Today in reinvent, or Marcia and her friends chat about reinvent, because that's what it is at the end of the day. And I had my YouTube tab open with sound, so I was like, "Ooh, what is that noise coming?" Oh, it's my voice. So sorry, you guys that have to hear my loud screaming. So this is a series, if you don't know, of me chatting with people from the community or with developer advocates from AWS about things that have been going on in reinvent. And today I have two amazing guests. First, I have a AWS DevTools hero, one of the few DevTools heroes we have. I imagine everybody knows him because he's been doing so much amazing work for the CDK community. I've been stealing so much code from his repository. We have Matt Coulter. How are you, Matt? And then we have one of my colleagues, guy that knows about almost everything, but especially about devices. He loves devices. He's always tinkering with something. We have Boaz. How are you, Boaz?
Hi. I don't know anything.
You know almost everything. Yes, it's so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining. And can you introduce yourself, Matt?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Matt Coulter, and anyone who doesn't know me, I've spent the past year building all these open source patterns out there on cdkpatterns.com. They're all focused on different serverless architectures, and the whole idea behind it is that you can just see something you like, clone it down and deploy it, and then all the theories there in the README that you can go and learn more information. So I've been building those, creating YouTube videos, and just generally talking about serverless through the CDK. And as Marcia mentioned, I was made one of the first DevTools heroes. Was that a month ago now? Time flies.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but super well deserved because you have been doing such a good job for the community. I will put in the screen now your Twitter. So if you want to find Boaz and Matt online, you can check them in there.
Matt, it's a new category, right?
Yes, brand new.
Yeah. DevTools. Yeah, I think there were a couple of, or how many? Like a couple of DevTools.
Of us.
Yeah, very few. Yeah, so it was really nice to see your name there. And you, Boaz, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. I'm Boaz Ziniman. I'm a developer advocate from Tel Aviv, Israel, working mainly with the Israeli market, but visiting other events, at least virtually these days, around the world. I've been with AWS for almost 4 years. Next month, celebrating 4 years. That's really exciting, and it flies really, really fast. I have
always
to say.
Day one.
Always day one, and I basically love technology. So it can be devices, it can be other things. I'm coming with a very strong and very long development background in all kinds of Israeli startups, and really happy about the opportunity in this job to share some of my experience and some of my knowledge. So this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, being a developer advocate is very fun because at least I get paid doing what I love, that is chatting with people and teaching. So yep. I love this show. So both of you have been in reinvent previously. Matt said that his first time was last year. And I imagine, Boaz, if you have been here for 4 years, you have been a couple of times in reinvent at least.
I actually been to all of them except for the first one.
All of them. Wow.
All of them except for the first one. The first two event I went to was 2013, I think. And it was 5,000 people total.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that is quite
actually I have videos dancing with Werner at the replay party at this reinvent.
Wow, that's crazy. How you see the change from 2013 until last year?
Yeah, so this is really massive, and I had the rare opportunity to actually see it grow, like 5,000, then 10,000, then 20, then 30, then I don't know, 60,000.
65 last year.
65, yeah. So this is changing really, really fast. And the first few years, I think 3 or 4 years, all of them were in one venue, the Venetian. So it was relatively compact, and you can walk between sessions without planning your entire day from 7 a.m. or 4 a.m. until the end of the day after all the parties. And the last 3 years, it became like really massive, covering the entire strip from MGM in the south to the Wynn at the north. And this is, if you've never been to Vegas, this is a long strip. This is few miles of walking. So don't try to walk this in one go, or if you need to switch to a session. But I think one thing I really admire about reInvent is always the level of the content. It doesn't matter if it was the small event with maybe, I don't know, 100 breakouts or 200 breakouts to the, I don't remember if it's 1,400 breakouts last year or something like that. The quality is super high. It's really amazing. And being part of the process of proposing talks, being through the process of creating content, this is something that I really admire about this event, and I think it's not different for this one, although it's completely different in terms of...
I think the level of content, I've been saying it many times, because people is like, well, it's free, it should be like whatever random ads from AWS. No. The core of education and the high level of the content and the curation is still there, as it was a paid event. So
absolutely,
you're getting a really good quality content. Sean is saying good morning. So for us, it's afternoon. So good afternoon. Yeah. We are all set in Europe. Matt is in North Ireland, and Boaz is in Tel Aviv, sunny Tel Aviv, and I'm in the North Pole in Helsinki. Very dark. Yeah. So what is you miss from reinvent? So now we have this online thing that is really good, a lot of educational content, but what you're missing?
Yeah, I can go first, I guess. So the last year was my first reinvent, but the thing that I miss was I was lucky enough to get a couple of those hand-on builder sessions. So I actually got to meet Nick, who is product manager for EventBridge, which has been big for us, and both CDK Patterns and Liberty for the past year. And making that connection at reInvent to be able to just, like ping him and say, hi, remember we met? And it was sort of the same thing with the CDK team. They hosted an open bar night where it was just a mixer. It was for like an hour, but I got to meet so many of the CDK community. And that's the piece I miss from it, just chatting to people. So that's why this is amazing, this conversation.
Yeah. I think that's something I also been telling now through the whole reinvent is don't be afraid to ping people on Twitter. If you see a chat, a talk, a session, or something from a speaker from AWS that sounds very interested, look in Twitter. Everybody has put their Twitter handle in their session deck, so you can reach out to them and say, hey, I have a question, or I would love to connect, because we are very lonely and we love those interactions. I don't know, I think Boaz agrees with me.
Absolutely. And this is why I put my handle anywhere I can, like in slides on this, even on this video.
Exactly.
So people can reach out to us. This is what we do. This is why we are here.
We love talking with you all. Somebody's from Argentina. That's pretty early. I don't know what time is there.
That's your South American friends.
Yeah, my South American friends. Actually, I should know, because they have the same time zone than Uruguay, but I never know time zones. Those are hard. And what about you, Boaz? What you're missing?
So obviously people, obviously the meeting people, the hallways, going to events, not necessarily the main tracks or the official events, but all those small happy hours, cocktails, parties that are around a technical topic. Matt, by the way, I know that a very big part of the CDK core team is in Israel. Some of them good friends of mine. I actually helped one of them to record his reinvent talk in this room, and I'm just broadcasting from 2 days ago. So I'm familiar with this team, and they're great guys. Actually, the other thing I'm missing, and that might be only me, but I would love to hear your input as well. I'm actually missing to be all in on reinvent. The fact you're going to like you need to travel. For me, it's 24 hours travel and 10 hours time zone difference. So it's hard. It takes a lot of time. I don't like planes, but there's no other or better way to get there. But when you're there,
terrible. We all hate it. But
I don't. I don't, but no, I don't. I learned after so many years going to Vegas to enjoy Vegas. I know what I like and I know what I don't like, so I'm okay with it. I can go to Vegas tomorrow morning. But being all in on reinvent, the fact that you're there and your entire day from waking up, we spoke earlier about those breakfasts, from waking up until going to bed very late at night. And sleeping maybe 3 or 4 hours a night, but being all invested in this, the people around it, the sessions, the conversations, the events, anything around it. And there's a lot of things going behind the scenes for me as an AWS employee. So that's very stressful, but very fun as well. This is something I really miss because when you're not there with this, when this is virtual, you need to balance your time between
you have to take your kids to the school. Yeah. And I know I love my kid, but it's like it's at cooked lunch.
Exactly. They need to eat. Wow, surprise. So this is something I really miss. I would love to be like 100% reinvent, and virtually, remotely, it's a bit challenging.
And for me, I think the thing I miss is to talk with people that are like-minded, because sometimes I arrive home super excited, like tell my husband, you know, they launched it, like Lambda 1 millisecond billing. And my husband is like, okay, what that mean? He doesn't give a shit. He's like, okay. Like, all your excitement is like after the keynote, you're like, no. So I put a link in the chat for all this excitement that we all have. There is the community heroes have created a Discord chat channel for all of us to just jump in, and there is even audio channels there. So go and check it after or during the keynote that we have today, because during the machine learning keynote, it was pretty active. So I think it's always fun to chat with others. So yeah, let's move a little bit into the launches and things, either pre-reinvent or during reinvent that happened. But first, I want to talk a little bit about your company, Matt, because you have like 4 heroes in where you're working.
Yeah, so Liberty Mutual has 4 heroes. It's 1 serverless hero, 2 machine learning heroes, and now a DevTools hero.
Wow, that's super cool. And you are working with CDK at your company.
Yeah, so my role is a bit different. It doesn't really align with anything else in the industry, I don't think. It's probably closer to dev advocate. So if you think of Liberty Mutual as split down the middle, we've got global retail markets, which is like people buying home or car insurance for themselves, and then global risk solutions, which is large commercial policies and awkward specialist insurance. So I'm GRS, but my role isn't to build any of those apps. I'm here to try and create the environment where all of the engineers across the world feel motivated, empowered, and enabled to build in a serverless first manner.
Wow. So it's like a platform team kind of thing.
It is and it isn't, because I don't want to code for them. So I don't want to be that centralized team that I'm like, okay, I've updated version 2 of pattern, whatever. It's a case of, so that's why I started CDK patterns. The idea is I put that out there open source and get yourselves and all the people that everybody knows talking about a particular pattern. And then that way it's not just my opinion, it's an industry opinion. We can then bring it in, and we have this rapid deployment tool called the Software Accelerator, and it works with SAM, CDK, serverless framework, whatever tool you want, and we can put that up available for a developer to just click deploy. But the difference is after they take ownership of it, it's theirs. So what we have done is accelerated them to a particular point in time, and then whenever they hit issues or whatever, we try and help them through education. So it's a bit of a different take.
Yeah, but I think it's, at least I was chatting with Nicole Yip from Lego some time ago, and I think they are also going in that direction, at least in Lego, to have the platform team to be like a team that sets standards to others to start adopting, for example, serverless first and do things right. So it's nice to hear that you are doing kind of similar things in your organization.
And it's really cool that it's Liberty Mutual's over 100 years old insurance company, and I'm able to sit here, you know, like talking like AWS hero, 4 heroes, and you know we're talking serverless first, and it's incredible that the company's still innovating, considering you'd think we could still be doing business on paper.
Yeah, but maybe that's one of the reasons that it's 100-year-old and it's not bankrupt already.
Exactly.
But you're keeping on innovating. You were saying that you're already implementing or trying to take the containers on Lambda launch into your company. Can you share a little bit more? What is your use case?
Yes,
this is super new, right? That's from last week.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, it's a thing of I put out there the predictive Lambda pattern, so anybody can go and look at it now, cdkpatterns.com. But the idea behind this was before my current role, I spent a couple of years on a team that was focused on building reusable APIs for other teams. And part of that was about we were trying to reduce the amount of questions you have to ask on an insurance application by pre-filling information. And one of the ways we were doing that was machine learning. So I spent a lot of time working with data scientists trying to deploy machine learning models. And it was just awkward, hard, and just not easy. And that's where we had these Docker containers running on AWS, but they were, like treat your servers like cattle, not pets. They were definite pets. And then whenever I saw the containers being launched, I just thought, right, can I put a machine learning model in a container on Lambda, and how easy is it? And it turned out it took me, I don't know, we'll say an hour from start to finish to build the model, use the container image to train the model, and then deploy it on Lambda and containers. And the reason why I think that's different is because it means now we've gone from the scenario of machine learning is scary, it could be expensive, to it's just a Lambda function. It's not different. It's the serverless message all over again for machine learning. And it's now the accelerator tool I mentioned earlier. My colleague, Mark McCann, has brought it into our accelerator since today. So that's the feedback loop in Liberty Mutual. Keynote, CDK pattern, accelerator.
That's so cool to see it. And I think adding the machine learning, that's kind of taking it even one step further of what we imagine to use the container for. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not advocating all Lambdas to be put in containers. I just saw that as a particular use case that was really awkward before, but it just completely enabled it because you get up to 10 gigabytes of storage space and everything. So it just lowered the barrier to entry massively.
Yeah, now I need to try this. I put it in the screen and in the chat for anybody that wants to try it out, because I think it's a really cool use case of the Lambda containers, and the CDK patterns is very well documented, so you can go and check it out. And what about you, Boaz? What were your favorite things?
So I have a list, actually. Yeah, I need to show this one. So Matt, I think, by the way, the containers and the fact one of the items on my list is the Lambda increased memory footprint to 10 gigabytes. I think this goes hands in hand with containers. A lot of new options right now with the fact that you can add more memory. It used to be 3-something gigabytes, now it's 10. And that's 6 crazy. CPU cores. That's crazy. Yeah. Some of the things. So obviously, a lot of people talking about machine learning. That was something really needed if you want to deploy machine learning inside Lambda. Your models probably now can live there. And by the way, there are a lot of great tools that can make your models smaller, which is important as well, both in terms of cost and performance and other things. I've been talking with some companies that have been struggling with video processing on Lambda. They like the model for video processing, but the 3 gigabyte for video made them to do a lot of juggling between the amount of video they can process. Like they had to take very small chunks, and tripling it will probably save at least some of their problems.
That's the new feature from Lambda. This ABX2 helps the video, because that also gives a little bit of special hardware for doing more performance and vector things.
More power and more space. That's what they were looking for. And I think we provided that, at least some of it, to people to play with. I really like the billing, the fact that now Lambda is billed by the millisecond. Because I still remember when talking even talking 2 months ago, last time I mentioned Lambda billing cycles, 100 milliseconds, and people that are not used to this concept, or maybe not even used to the cloud concept of billing, told me, like, how can you bill for 100 milliseconds? Like, this is so small. And then we talk about 1 millisecond, which is even nicer. So it really depends on your usage patterns, by the way. If you're executing a lot of small lambdas, you're going to see these numbers go down, because it can be several percents of your billing. I have some lambdas, like few stupid lambdas I'm using for all kinds of things, that I looked at the billing, not even the billing. I just went to CloudWatch logs and pulled out the logs for this lambda. So the last time it ran, it was like 1,328 milliseconds. It was built for 1,400, and last time it was built for 1,328 exactly.
Yeah.
And this is
and I think
pretty interesting.
Also now you can tune it, because before you were like putting the memory up until a certain point, and then you didn't care anymore, because it was like, if it goes faster, then I'm still paying for the full 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. But now you can really tune it to the like the fastest spot, and you're paying for exactly that.
More options. I think you're going to get to the same point when it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like when you pass this 100 millisecond, or you won't get any additional value. Actually, Danilo has a great post regarding this launch, and he shows the really nice graph of adding. I think maybe it's the launch of the 10 gigabytes. I'm not sure which one of them. I read so many of them in the last week. But he shows a really nice graph there of adding more resources to a Lambda function and see how the price drops. I think it's the 10 gigabytes launch, and it doesn't talk specifically about the 1 millisecond. But obviously, this is something that will affect this as well, and definitely something you should take into account.
Yeah, so the Lambda partition and step function, I know, has been updated now to account for the 1 millisecond billing. And there's a project we have internally. So I know a lot of people have been saying, is the 1 millisecond billing a big deal because Lambda bills are tiny? We have a really interesting project in Liberty that actually Craig McCarter was presenting on at reInvent this year. We use for our general ledger, we have this step function. The whole thing's serverless. So every financial transaction that comes through Liberty Mutual at the end of the month is all tallied up. And the whole thing is done with step functions and Lambda. And it's way cheaper than what it was to do it with dedicated servers, but the bill is still expensive. So I'm waiting on to see what the prices come down to with the 1 millisecond billing, but I guarantee you that it will have been just another one of those things in serverless where you don't need to change your architecture, and it just keeps getting better, faster, and cheaper. And I love it.
Yeah.
So I want to take this opportunity to plug a session that I'm going to present next week at reInvent.
Sure.
And this is a session with Nielsen Media. Also, I'm going to share with you the link to the session. Hopefully, this is working. So this is a session with Nielsen Media that process 55 terabytes of data with Lambda a day.
Wow.
And I've been talking with the Nielsen team last week after the launch, and trying to figure out if this is going to affect their Lambda bills, because they went from $7.5 for every 1,000 transactions they process, or 1,000. I don't remember if it's exactly 1,000 transactions or 1,000 files. Doesn't matter, but they went down to 4.25, and they keep working on to reduce the price. And I just wonder if this change is going to affect it. Their usage pattern is slightly different, so they have longer executions because they're processing files. So this can run for I don't know, 30 seconds or 20 seconds for each execution. So if you're saving even 90 milliseconds on that, it's not a lot. But I'm just wondering to see if this is something that will change it. But this session is pretty interesting. This is architecture track, talking about the architecture and how to deal with those amounts of data, and the fact that this data is going up and down without them being ready for that. It's something that can change on the minute basis. Like you can have 5 gigabytes coming into your system, and suddenly you have 12. And what do you do then? And the fun thing about Lambda is that it actually can handle this. So next Wednesday, it's 6 p.m. Israeli time, so it's 5 p.m. Central European time, and 3 reruns, and everything is in for this session. So just look for ARC 310. This is the session on
yeah,
next,
that's what
next
I always put the codes because people can watch it maybe on demand later or whatever. So it's
exactly.
Good that they can search for that.
Very relevant for processing big data with serverless or processing a lot of records like in your case.
Yeah, I think customer stories are always super fun to watch in reinvent. So
yeah, if you want another example of that, so you'll have to wait till tomorrow for on demand. But my boss, Dave Anderson, gave a presentation on creating a serverless first cloud center of excellence. And it, he talks about, if you remember, because everybody was in their lockdown in their houses because of COVID, all the insurance companies decided to refund customers for 1 or 2 months of their insurance policies. So we had this situation where the amount of sales dropped, that's pretty much unprecedented, but the number of customer refunds went through the roof. But because the systems were all built serverless, it completely coped with it, and it wasn't a drama. Whereas if this was 10 years ago, there might have been a server on fire somewhere trying to process all those refunds.
Or you have to order in advance, and in this case, it's impossible because you don't know that it's coming. You have to order in advance like a bunch of racks and set them up, wire them up, and just put them somewhere just in case. And
exactly.
So happy it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. It's like, I hope next year we go back to normal again. Oh, but you were mentioning when we were preparing that Babelfish was something interesting for you.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
And now to something completely different. So, Babelfish is a new, I don't know how to call it. It's a service. It's an open source. It's a way to take your It's a way to take your legacy applications talking in a specific SQL language, in this case MS SQL, and make them work transparently or seamlessly with Aurora, PostgreSQL in this case. So a translation layer that will allow you to move from legacy databases or legacy applications into a modern cloud architecture. And this is a huge challenge. I was talking earlier that I have the privilege, I don't know if it's called privilege, but in the same company, switch from Informix to Oracle to MS SQL. And the part of the data is pretty straightforward. So you export somehow, you import somehow. Eventually, you can handle the data. But what's going on with your application, this is a huge challenge. You need to almost always to rewrite a lot. Depending from the switch. So if you're switching from Oracle to PostgreSQL, you probably won't need to rewrite anything or almost anything. But MS SQL to MySQL or to Informix, don't ask me even to start about it. Informix to Oracle, it's a lot of work to rewrite your application, and Babelfish will do the translation. By the way, if you don't know where it's coming from, you all know where it's coming from, right? The term of Babelfish.
Yeah, from the translation, at least.
Yeah, the hijacker guide to the galaxy. So there is a concept of a general translation. It can translate anything. It's just a device, or it's actually not a device. It's a fish you put in your ear, and it will translate anything you've been talking to into a language you actually understand. So you can travel the galaxy with it and go to any planet and speak the language and understand the local language. So this is coming from there. I actually was using it for some machine learning demos I've been doing with language. Auto-translating on the fly between different languages. And this is exactly the same thing for SQL, and pretty excited about it. Will really help customers to migrate and move faster to modern infrastructure, and it's going to save them a lot of time.
Yeah, because when you use the migration tool inside AWS, it's super straightforward until you have application. So I'm really excited about this. And also it's nice that it's an open source thing. So then you can take it and use it in your own databases, even if they're not in the cloud. So I think there is a lot of potential for this. Yeah. And one thing Matt was mentioning, at least when we were prepping, was that you are going to sit down with the Proton team. Can you tell a little bit of what is going on there?
Yeah, so since Proton was announced, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been following Twitter, but the heroes all just sort of, everybody has an opinion of Proton. And I've mentioned a few times that we have this process in place in Liberty where I'm trying to motivate and inspire our engineers to be their best selves through our software accelerator. So what I want to do, and I just put out on Twitter, you know, like, I'm not sure about Proton, and the team are so awesome that they went, you know, like, we'll talk to you. So we're going to talk later today. And the reason why we're going to talk is because I want to show them exactly how we work in Liberty and give them the story and hopefully understand a bit more about the direction of, because Proton, from what I can understand, and I've seen a couple of articles have the same thoughts, it's built around this concept of you have a platform team that builds a set group, you know, a set number of infrastructure patterns that are approved. And then developers can just come along and say, okay, I'm going to deploy that one. And they've rapidly solved a business problem. And then that platform team still keeps upgrading that piece of infrastructure. So the developer never needs to care about it. It's like if a security flaw is found, then the platform team can just push an update to everybody. And I mean, that's fine. That's a usage pattern. It's just, I don't particularly want to have an internal platform team updating my infrastructure, you know, it's a case of usually the customer for that is an enterprise company. But, you know, as I don't think I said it in this broadcast, but Liberty Mutual, Fortune 100 company, $49 billion, I think. So if we're not doing it that way, it's a case of, can we sort of nudge Proton a direction to enable us to work the way we do today? And if so, it'll be a really awesome tool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, but I think this is super cool because that's what previews are for, to complain to the service teams and tell them what will be a great use case.
Yeah, that's it. I think it is incredibly awesome that a team is willing to put something out there really early. And then instead of getting defensive, just saying, okay, we understand, let's talk about it. That, you know, like that's what makes AWS great. That's why we all want to build stuff on AWS, because, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah. Boaz, I imagine you have seen it a lot, like customer stories driving AWS products.
Absolutely. I've seen it a lot. I actually been on several of these calls when customer gives us feedback. If it's me specifically, once again, going back to the fact that contact us, we are here to help. And me trying to find somebody in AWS that can actually take this feedback and then do something. And several months later, you see things are changing, and that's something really important for us. You can hear sometimes people coming and saying that we're releasing a new service that has very few features in it, and why is it missing, and why is this one missing? And actually, the fact is that we are doing that because we want to get a very early feedback. It really helps us to improve the product and tie it better to actual customer needs, and this is very, very common. So I heard this story before, and I'm really proud to be part of it.
In some way, AWS is like a little startup that likes to do this minimal viable product and see how it goes instead of putting
a lot of little startups.
Yeah, exactly. So in that way, you will see like it behaves like some small company in a way, but it does that. So I'm super excited that you got to chat with the Proton team and give feedback.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's not even just being the Proton team. So that's the current one, but over the past year, the amount of product teams that have came and talked to us, me and my colleague Mark McCann, just because, you know, the teams are like startups, they all truly care about what the customer wants. And I apologize to all of them for the crazy features we've asked for over the past year, but it's so nice.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing. And Boaz, did you got some devices this year?
I did not get any devices. That's really one more thing I missed from reInvent. Coming back always with something in my suitcase. It used to be Deep Lens, Deep Racer, Deep Composer, and Alexa back when I was a customer. So there was always something to bring back from a toy to bring back from reInvent. This year we launched a Monitron. Amazon Monitron is a device to monitor industrial, I think mostly industrial machinery. This is basically a hub and sensors that are connected to this hub. The sensors will measure temperature and vibrations and maybe sound. I'm not sure about sound. And eventually they will send it into the hub, and the hub will send it into AWS. And then with machine learning models that will analyze the baseline for each of those sensors or each of those machines, you will be able to get anomaly detections in case something changes. So instead of waiting for your compressor to break, a slight change in the vibration of the compressor that might show that something is wrong with the engine, or it's missing oil, or anything like that, you will be able to get an alert and maybe do some predictive maintenance and things like that. I really want to put my hands on this. They're really cute.
Do with Monitron if you get one, because you don't have an industry that I know.
No, I want to show a picture. They're really, really cute. I'm going to look for a picture.
They are really cute. Yeah, at least we were chatting. The first thing I thought when I see the Monitron, I was like, can I put it in my kid bed so I know where she's at?
Super useful.
Yeah, so maybe you can put it in your car if it's vibrating weirdly. Something is about to break. I don't know what usage you can do at home for these home connected devices that we have all in our houses. Like when the internet failed and the whole house stopped working.
Absolutely. I have so many. Like we were discussing earlier, I need to know when my kids are waking up. So I can absolutely put one of these there, and we'll get anomaly detections when they are waking up too early or too late.
You get a SMS notification in your phone. Your kids are up.
So here's the picture, if you can share it on the screen.
I can.
This is basically a kit. This is basically a kit. The small ones are the sensors, and the big one is the hub. They are talking with each other, so you can just put them around your factory. You can add more sensors, of course, and get all this information. And very cute. I really would like to play with them one day. So
we should ask for them to ship us a kit.
Yeah, absolutely.
AWS Baby Monitron, definitely.
New name. Come on, you came with a new name.
For the builders fair.
Yeah. Baby Monitron.
Baby Monitron.
That's actually good. There is an Israeli. I don't know if you have it in the Nordics or in the UK, but there is a Israeli device called BabySense.
No
it's
idea.
Basically something you put under the mattress of a young baby, and it monitors movement and breath.
I read about it, but
so this is an Israeli invention. I actually know the guy. He's a close relative, a very good friend of mine, and that can be a replacement for that. Maybe I don't know how.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate it is. It's supposed to be very, very accurate and.
I think when they're too small, they might not move the crib. But my 3-year-old, when she's awake, she's a tornado. So I'm pretty sure she moves everything.
No, so the BabySense is designed for very young kids. It's like from
exactly.
day one. But this is interesting thing to play with. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just want to say that this is there are more things to come in this front of IoT next week. There is a leadership session on IoT on Monday, so I assume there's going to be some additional announcements coming from this team. This one is specifically more IoT and machine learning combined together. But a lot is happening in the IoT front. Looking forward to some of the announcements.
Yeah, I think leadership sessions, we can start recommending sessions already, and leadership sessions are a must watch. They're always super interesting. And I will put now in the screen the one from IoT that you were mentioning, but you can find them in the session catalog if you go through the leadership sessions. Have you watched some, Matt?
So I feel like I've spent the past week and a half just watching constant sessions, so it's it's a bit of a blur at this point. But I do know. See, on the IoT front, I did see one of my fellow heroes, Nathan Glover, have a good talk that he recorded on how he fed his cat with IoT. So I think that'll be super interesting to come out, but it's not out till January.
Oh, it's one of the January sessions.
Yeah.
So we need to wait for it. How to feed your cat with IoT, I think that will be very interesting. And my cat will appreciate it a lot because she's always asking for food.
Cats are really popular in technical talks. Like there is this video of training your cat with machine learning. There used to be one One of the guys, I think, in Seattle created something like that.
Okay. I will not expect to train my cat with anything. She's untrainable, but...
Try machine learning, you never know.
Yeah, that's it. You never know.
I don't know. But yeah, so what are you recommending to watch to the audience that happened or is coming? Do you have some sessions?
Yeah, I have a couple. So there's the one I already mentioned from Dave Anderson, but then there's actually one using AI to automatically find insights in email. And this is a fascinating update, and it was in the developer area as opposed to one of the main talks. But this is Gillian Armstrong, one of our heroes.
Oh,
and she's talking about, she's talking about a real project in my area that she's been building. And it's, if you think about it, a lot of things get emailed to insurance agents and underwriters that they have to spend time opening the attachment, reading it. And usually it's just like attaching it to an insurance policy. So she's been building this AI project that can read the email and just automatically take away that undifferentiated heavy lifting. And she talks about it there. So it's a really good project and it's a really good session. And then there's one from Craig McCarter on the step functions that I mentioned. And that's getting started with AWS step functions for service orchestration.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a really good update from him. Really good talk. And then last one from Liberty, Tom McLaughlin, the serverless hero, gave it a 5-minute talk on AWS training and certification success story.
Wow, 5 minutes talk. That's hard to make.
I know. I hear he did it at 2 or 3 a.m. after spending the whole day getting his camera set up. But it's really good. All the speakers, well done to them all because it's fantastic.
That's cool. And what are you, Boaz? What you would recommend?
So I would go back to the leadership sessions. Today there is the containers and the compute leadership sessions with Deepak. And if you saw Deepak before, he's a great speaker. And this topic is, I think containers is probably at the top 3 hot topics that I had the opportunity to talk about them with customers in the last, not even year, probably 3 years. So definitely this one, very interesting. We have today the keynote of Peter DeSantis about infrastructure. Always interesting, always entertaining, super geeky. So talking about behind the scenes and connectivity and wires and compute and CPUs, and there's always fun talks. In previous years, I'm sure this year is going to be exactly the same. So really encourage you to look at today's keynote and of course the leadership session of Deepak about containers and compute. Next year, Werner, this is I think all of us are looking
That's my favorite keynote, always, the Werner's keynote.
So 1 week to go for this one, and I'm really waiting for this one. So I think those are the main one on my agenda. There are so many breakout sessions. I'm trying to find the ones that are most interesting for me. Usually looking for the 300, 400 level deep dives, customer stories, but there are so many that just use the catalog that.
Yeah, somebody is putting in the comments, somebody built an IoT plus recognition cat flap that logs only unlocks when the cat is not carrying anything in their mouth. And I can totally feel like good with that because my mom always had a million cats in their house, and there was always some present on my mom's bed. Like, I love you so much. I bring you a dead bird. Here it is. So
I think that was the exact motivation of the guy that built it. And thanks, Dan, for reminding the exact story. I was not sure. And I could probably find it somewhere, but this is exactly the one I was talking about.
I think there is a YouTube video.
That was exactly the motivation.
If I don't remember wrong. It was super funny because the cats are little assholes.
I'm just picturing a sad cat at the cat flap now, being like, I want to give you a present, and it can't.
Dead bird. Yeah, there is so many sessions, and at least besides the keynote from today, there is at least a couple of serverless sessions I would like to recommend. There is this security session that I think we need to learn more about security. So if I always see a security session, I will recommend it because we don't talk enough. And even though serverless is very secure, I think it's good to learn how to secure your applications. These are also a 300 level session. And it goes into the depths of IAM policies for and all these fun things to give your least privilege to your function. So yes, but I think very, very important when you're building serverless application. Not the most sexy topics, but I think it's good. And then there is this track that I've been loving. That is the Builders Library. Have you watched something from the Builders Library?
Not this year, but previous year, the talks there were pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I know they will be amazing. I just haven't had a chance yet. But Builders Library are always good.
I have been watching from that track. I think the most sessions I watch are from that track because it's very inspiring. Is how Amazon and AWS solves their own problems. What? It's not like customer problems. No. It's how we scale, how we test, how we do deployments. And I think now they have. Do they have something in that track today? No, not that I know. But I think yesterday they have testing. And then in the Amazon track, there is how Amazon.com automates the payments and all that kind of things with machine learning and AI. So there is also the Amazon track on how other type of problems are solved. So I think those are always interesting because they're very big problems. So I would recommend that session.
If people haven't seen it, the way AWS does CI/CD and rolling out of new functionality, if you've never read into how it's done, you know, it's something to behold.
This year, that session is done by Claire Lingury. I love hearing her speak. She's such a good speaker, and this the deployments in AWS, it's super interesting talk. So I recommend it. It went already last week, so it's available on demand. Good afternoon, Darko. How are you doing?
Where's Darko?
Yeah, at least in the chat. That's Darko.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then another sexy session I have to recommend, but I'm a fan of CloudFormation. So sorry, CDK. I like CDK, but I've been doing CloudFormation for too long. And if you ever find a session that says what's new in, I always recommend them, not to watch them maybe when they are going live, but later, because they will tell you all the new things that happen. Maybe they were not crazy announcements and they don't get too big signs everywhere, but they are always small developments here and there. Was there what's new with CDK already, or is it happening?
There's I can't remember if it's called What's New with CDK, but there's a session on what's been announced this year and what's coming.
Yeah, because those sessions are always, I think what's new and what's next, that's the name in the CDK, and it's already also available on demand. So if you're a CDK fan, that's something you should check, because at least I like those sessions to understand what is coming, what is going, like what are the trends. So Darko also like Claire's talk, so totally recommended.
And absolutely, even if you're going to use CDK, it's still worth knowing CloudFormation, because it's the cloud development kit for CloudFormation. It's sort of a silent last couple of words there. So, I spent a few years.
You're ending up with CloudFormation, so let's be honest about it.
Yeah, it's a CloudFormation stack that's deployed, so it's worthwhile knowing what you're deploying.
Yeah, I love CloudFormation and I hate CloudFormation. So
I just want to say that nobody said it before. I love CloudFormation.
I love it because it was my first contact with infrastructure as code, and for me that changed my relationship with building infrastructure, because I always find it. I'm a developer, so for me, doing infrastructure work before meeting CloudFormation was like, I don't want to do that job. That job is not for me. I'm not going to consoles or write really weird scripts. I want to code it. So when I met CloudFormation, that changed my relationship with infrastructure. And then, serverless framework and SAM built on top of it. So I was very But I never built a VPC because I hate CloudFormation until I met CDK.
Because you're using serverless.
No, there was some things that I could do and will make my life easier if I will be using VPCs, because that's quite a big part of AWS. But I was resisting horribly, like when you negate to do something, I was doing that. And then I met CDK, and with one line of code, you were able to create a VPC, and that opened the world to a lot of things that I was avoiding. So yeah, I have an interesting relationship with technology, but
yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's how I got interested in CDK. We were CloudFormation for years, just pure CloudFormation. And, I'll not say we loved it, but we loved what we could do with it. And then we deployed a lot of these private API gateways with a custom authorizer lambda in CloudFormation. And that is 1,600 lines of code. And then every new team that picked it up had to go through that full cycle of, this will be easy. I'm not going to take their CloudFormation. That's too long. They've included a bunch of stuff that don't need, followed by several months of pain. And then, I could have just used that.
How many times you grab a script of CloudFormation that somebody else built and you say, I don't need these 1,000 lines of code, and you start removing things and nothing works. And then it's like, oh, I need to add them again.
Yeah, it's the same loop every time. And then that's where with CDK, I was able to build a construct. And that same 1,600 lines is now 14 lines of code internally. So it's, I'm not going to say it's the silver bullet or anything, but that's what got me interested, writing less code and not everybody repeating the same journey whenever they go to deploy things.
Yeah, I think now there are the nested stacks, and what is the last launch? I'm very bad with namings from CloudFormation. The modules, yes. So I hope that we can do that. I have not tried yet. I have not tried much since reinvent started. So January activities.
We will have all the time for the recaps.
Yeah. It's like January activities. Try everything. And make demos and play with things, but yeah, it's a big monster, CloudFormation, and I think one of the things that it's always, at least some people are like afraid with CDK, is that people will start with CDK and they will never learn CloudFormation, and then when they get to a level that they need to understand CloudFormation, they will be like very far away. But I think it's great that there is tools that opens the door for people to get into the platform, and they can figure it out later, the problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I always include CloudFormation unit tests as well, because I know the CDK team are probably going to hate me for saying this, because CDK is meant to abstract you from CloudFormation, but to me, it's a developer tool to rapidly get you to the CloudFormation template you wanted to deploy anyway. And that's why the unit tests we include, I'm not going to say I write a unit test for every line of CloudFormation, but it at least means I need to understand and know the CloudFormation template it's creating before, like going any further.
Yeah, I think this is where the gap is coming from, when you need to debug, or when you need to understand what's going on and the relationship between the different parts of the template you're building. CDK will do the job for you, but you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I also like SAM, for example. It abstracts a lot of things for you. You don't need to build it, but at the end of the day, you can always go and see the CloudFormation that is created, and it's what is going to get deployed at the end of the day. So I think it's nice to have these tools, and I think they are super important to improve the developer productivity, because writing those 400 lines of code just to define the same VPC over and over again is waste of time. But it's good to know how it's going. So where are you watching the keynote? With your dogs, with your cats?
Yeah, I'm just watching mine from, I'm obviously at home with COVID, but yeah, I have a nice wee office upstairs in my house. So it's not very big. It's about the size of my arm span. But at least I have two big monitors here, and I can just watch it in comfort.
Nice. What about you, Boaz? Are you making your kids watching the keynote?
No, I'm probably going to start watching it from the car, because after this session, I have a mentorship session with some startups, and it's going to end exactly when the keynote starts. So I'm going to be transferring. I'm currently at the AWS office in Tel Aviv in my studio, and I'm going to be driving back home. And at least the beginning, I'm going to watch on my phone in the car. So,
oh, yeah.
I don't know. It might be fun. That you don't need to watch. Like you don't need to actually watch it. It's mostly to listen.
To listen, yeah. I don't know how this keynote will go, but the previous two always start just setting up the mood. I don't know if Peter DeSantis will have any launches or announcements. I don't know. So let's see if it gets crazy exciting. Like it's been with Andy. It's like you cannot stop typing a tweet when he's already announcing something else.
Yeah. I know no secrets. They haven't told the heroes anything, so I'm as excited as everybody else.
Yeah. Nobody knows anything. It's always mystery when this happens. But yeah, I'm watching the keynote here in front of my computer too, so I can follow social media. And for the people watching, there is, I mentioned it at the beginning, there is this Discord channel that some of the heroes created. And I think it's a really cool way also to interact with other people. While the keynote is going on, there's always discussions happening there and you can chat. And I think after the keynote, there might even be some conversations going on in the like voice channels that Discord has. And that's, I think it's always interesting to hear other human talking. Like, it feels like a little bit more like realistic than just following Twitter. So you can register there. That's a public invite. If you click there, you can, I'm pretty sure you can register to the Discord. If not, just send me a message and I will forward you the link. But yeah, I think with that, we can wrap up for today and we can get started getting ready for the keynote later in the day. So I put your Twitters in the screen if people want to chat with you, but it was really nice to have you here today.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, super excited. And see you around and enjoy the rest of reinvent.
Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.